So Trump's approval rating is slipping predictably. And Donald Trump has zero interest, by the way, in trying to maintain a positive approval rating because he no longer needs to. And it will be very interesting to see how the American people, Congress, and the Supreme Court react to Donald Trump when he eventually pulls the inevitable of "I'm not leaving." Sourced by Reuters, U.S. President Donald Trump's approval rating has ticked slightly lower in recent days as more Americans are worried about the direction of the U.S. economy as the new leader threatens a host of countries with tariffs. The 6-day poll, which closed on Tuesday, showed 44% of respondents approved of the job Trump is doing as president, in contrast to 45%, which was a poll conducted in January 24 to 26. So basically, around the beginning, 45% were like, yeah, we think Trump can do a good job in the economy. He's down 1 point. Trump's approval rating stood at 47% in a January 20th to 21st poll conducted in the hours after the Republicans returned to the White House. So slowly but surely, people are beginning to realize Donald Trump is only going to usher in economic chaos. Yo, the crazy part about it is like American voters are so spoiled. It's always this game of I'm never wrong. You should have convinced me. You should have. Y'all want it, bro. American voters, swear to God, they be y'all are not little kids, but y'all are grown. This mentality of like, well, the Democrats should have convinced me not to vote for Trump. Donald Trump has never. This nigga literally sells the entire. He's like a cartoonish anime villain. He tells the entire scheme and plot up front. Bro, it's like when Hispanic voters are like, we didn't know Trump was gonna. What do you mean you didn't know? What do you mean you did not know he was going to try to denaturalize some of you? It's in Project 2025. Let me guess, because Trump said, I don't know about that. Now all of a sudden he doesn't know about it? It's unreal the amount of evil Trump can get away with. Trump can be actually demonic. And Democrats have to be angelic. And if they're anything short of the second coming of Christ, all of a sudden, both parties are the same. I can't trust the Democratic Party anymore. I quit. The Democrats have fostered this mentality of, if we fall short of perfection, you can abandon us. They never want to attack Republicans. And hence why Trump can sit here and literally tell everybody, I'll destroy everything. Elon Musk, before the election, can say, yeah, I might crash the economy, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. You all might die, but well, but that's crazy, right? Americans refuse to ever take. It's always the fault of the person they elected and not the people who elected him in the first place. The share of Americans who disapprove of Trump's presidency has risen more substantially to 51% in the latest poll, compared with 41% right after he took office. The collective amnesia of the American public is fucking crazy. Niggas pretend like Trump just didn't, like he was never president before. Everyone's just collectively pretended like he wasn't president before. He was a president before. We all just collectively pretend like he wasn't a president. And if we elect him again, he'll have a change of heart. The amount of projection people do onto Trump, well, when he gets in, he'll walk on water and he'll heal the sick and the lame and he'll multiply the fish and the bread. And where do y'all get this shit? Niggas just make shit up. Just make shit up about Trump that he never ever promised to do. And then when he delivers the same bullshit he's always delivered, it's like, oh, actually, now we disapprove of Trump. Now, it's like, this game of amnesia with the American public, at some point, I know as politicians aren't supposed to say this shit. Someone has to say it. Someone has to tell the American voter, y'all cannot keep playing with your lives. You cannot keep having this collective amnesia of, how bad was Trump again? And the only thing that reminds you is electing him a second time. It's ridiculous. A pillar of Trump's political strength has been public belief that his policies will be good for the economy. Americans have no reason to believe this, by the way, other than the fact that things were cheaper when he was in office. This is why Republicans oppose education. They don't want you to know anything about how society functions. Because if you knew that prices rising was as simple as COVID happening and the war in Ukraine happening, if you knew that, you would not vote for Trump again because you would know that he had nothing to do with the economy and significantly raised the debt in exchange for nothing but tax cuts for the billionaires. This is why the Republican Party will literally, y'all see that clip of Leonidas in 300 with the arrows flying? Republicans will literally pull the sword out, scream with 100 arrows flying. They will die on the hill of making sure you cannot have an education. Because if you know how anything works, you would never vote for him. You would never vote for Trump. Trump couldn't even run a casino. That's one of the easiest things. You're literally taking advantage of some of the most you're taking advantage of addiction to gambling. You can't make money off of that. Trump sold steaks. He couldn't make money off of that. He sold water bottles. I think Rick Ross sells water. Rick Ross sells, bro. He can't even sell water. Lil Boosie sells chips. Lil Boosie sells chips. If Lil Boosie and Lil Baby can sell chips and Donald Trump can't sell water, maybe Lil Boosie should be president. Because Trump can't even sell water, and he's supposed to be effective for the economy. People just make shit up. You can't rewrite the storyline, but people still do it. His rating on the economy remains significantly higher than the final readings of his predecessor in office, Democrat Joe Biden, who ended his term with a 34% approval rating on the economy. But Trump's rating for the economy is well below the 53% he had in February of 2017, the first full month of his first term as U.S. president. Growing up, I used to hear adults talk about the economy and how the economy was good under this president or that president. And it's actually scary growing up now and being 24 and looking back knowing those people didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. Like the idea that it's as simple as, well, this president or that president. No, you have to actually look at the policies. You have to look at outside factors as well, like COVID or a war. People literally overlook all of that and just assume that Biden has an economy crash button that he just presses at his leisure. Whenever MAGA pisses him off, he just presses the economy crash button. This is not Victoria 3. But so many Americans think it is. And that's scary. It's actually scary that so many Americans believe Joe Biden would just wake up in the morning and just crash the economy just whenever he wants to. Kamala logs in the game, does a little bit of damage, logs out, takes a break. Joe Biden logs in, hits save. This is how Americans actually think. And Trump actually has them believing he's somehow economically competent because he ran a company. This has to stop. This madness has to stop. And it will only stop when America significantly focuses education on civics. I heard Vivek Ramaswamy is running for governor in Ohio. He advocated for young Americans having to pass a civics test to graduate from high school. I actually agree. What Ramaswamy doesn't seem to understand is that if Americans actually understand civics, Republicans will never win an election ever again. That is why they absolutely despise the idea of the government having any input on children's education, despite the obvious fact the government probably should. And it should be limited to two things: competence in civics and critical thinking, being able to discern which media is true and which media is false. That's my limit. It's as far as I want the state to go in terms of input into American education. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but it's literally our only saving grace. The amount of Americans who fall for Trump's... This shit is comical. I can end the war in 24 hours. People actually believe that shit because of the art of the deal. The nigga writes a bullshit book, releases it, and people just think he can save the world. That's the actual world we live in today. We live in a world where people actually believe Trump just says it and people think he can do it. The last time a politician was this incompetent publicly, it cost them an election. When Sarah Palin could barely describe anything coherently, it cost her and McCain an election. Trump does it and he's God. He's God. The fact that Americans have to actually feel Trump again, in order to realize how bad he is, just goes to show this nation's only saving grace is actually education. And education has always been a weapon that powerful tyrants, whether it's a single man or a tyrannical state made up of aristocrats or oligarchs, tyrannical bases of power have always used the people's lack of understanding of law, of economics, of even religion as a means by which to control them. Republicans want to go back. They want a blast of the past. They want to be, dukes and barons and kings and counts. They want feudalism. I don't know why. I don't know what makes them want to unleash the 14 and 1500s back onto the American people. But, they're determined to do so. They're possessed. They're actually possessed. Alex Jones was so close. He was just wrong party, Alex. It's actually your party that's possessed by demons. Possessed by demons, interdimensional demons. I don't know if they're intergalactic or interdimensional, but they're demons. They're demonic. I know that for a fact. The fact that Trump's approval rating has sunk that quickly in a month, by 2027, that administration is going to have a serious problem. A serious problem. They're going to tear each other apart before they go down. I'm telling you, MAGA is going to have another infighting event. They're going to rip one another to shreds. Trump's eventually going to blame every failure on Elon Musk. I promise you. Elon Musk is literally Trump's stooge. He just doesn't know it. Trump is obeying Musk, but trust and believe, no one can overcome the will of the people. Once people are angry enough at the Trump administration, Trump will immediately shove Elon off the cliff like Lion King, yell "Long live the king," as Elon tumbles down to the ground to be trampled by angry MAGA hats. I'm telling you, that might not happen. Okay, I'm not going to predict that, but Trump will eventually try to shift the blame to Elon. Eventually, it will happen. So, Trump's approval rating has sunk and slipped predictably, and now we have to wait for America to be reminded of why Donald Trump was never a good president.